everything. I guess me and Johanna had to meet. Now I make the blind see, and I make the dead speak, and teach both my little girls the day that they lie with a man, they better bring me bloody bed sheets. Chaos smash the time, this Glock match my handpiece, and I ain't trying to take him out, but I will defend this house or take a check. 144 in that black trench on some hitman shit. She call me 47, praying for Armageddon. Me and my soldiers dressed for the wedding. Fuck the fame, ask why, tell them I'm loyal to the king. Until the righteous reign, loyal to the king. I walk that straight lane to break the chain. Loyal to the king, them devils can't have me, bitch. I'm loyal to the king. That's right. Bring that hot flame, new bitch, hey, loyal to the king. Until the righteous reign, loyal to the king. I walk that straight lane to break the chain. Loyal to.
Any man give his life for Yahweh Shai, Mashiach, and Christ, and fall up under that UPK banner, is my brother and my blood, and I will die and kill for him if necessary. Go to ground, 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 go to ground. It's all about that warfare, boy. Give ground, give ground, back up, give ground, give ground, back up, give ground, give ground. It's all about that warfare, boy. Take ground, 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 take ground. My soldiers take ground till them stand down. Take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground. My soldiers take ground till them stand down. Take ground, take ground, take ground. Nah, this ain't no movement, this a takedown. We will not be moved or intimidated. We ain't the type. You got a problem, tell them cross the fucking line. My niggas ain't polite. Soldiers to the left and right. I die for every man body. Before I be a coward, I'd rather be a dead body. This will be my kingdom when the hour pass. You can either get with it or get flipped like an hourglass. We live by honor and no excuse. Just sit to pray up to the Lord. I told him, then let all the terrorists loose. Hold your tongue or get rebuked, cause you made a truce. With a race to make merchandise out of my abuse. Scared of who? You got your gun, then pull it. Me and my niggas start to argue, it's about who gon' bite the bullet. It gon' take round, take round, take round. Opponents better move slow. Attack dog for this truth, nigga, cool yo. Go to ground, 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 go to ground. It's all about that warfare, boy. Give ground, give ground, back up, give ground, give ground, back up, give ground, give ground. It's all about that warfare, boy. Take ground, 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 take ground. My soldiers take ground till them stand down. Take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground. My soldiers take ground till them stand down. Oh, thought you could cross us with no consequence, but you will pay dearly. You should've used your common sense. My zeal lit, that means you could never prevail. Hey, where the truth sit, hey, where warriors dwell. Be wise with them weapons, cause I promise. My nine just like my wife, she concealed, she modest. I know 2 things, a robber will not prosper. And any man harm me and my aunt, I'm gon' meet the doctor. Cause this life is warfare, it's not an easy walk. Been watching my people die, so you can miss me with that love talk. My UPK soldiers, any man try to cross your path, make him regret it. What that mean? Fall on his ass. Comparing me to you really ain't no contest. Long live one West. Say what? Long live one West. This for those who thinking we ain't ready for. Tell them back up, I'm about to drop something heavy for. Go to ground, 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 go to ground. It's all about that warfare, boy. Give ground, give ground, back up, give ground, give ground, back up, give ground, give ground. It's all about that warfare, boy. Take ground, 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 take ground. My soldiers take ground till them stand down. Take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground. My soldiers take ground till them stand down.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what it is. 140 for the rebel, busy man shit, nigga. They take their head over, nigga.
Red where Eve did to Adam, I just pray my love don't lie to me. Swing the iron like stamps and I can't let no hoe to lie to me. I don't feel these rappers, oh they lies, this hypocrisy. Ain't no competition, ain't no rivalry. Niggas think I'm playing, I don't hear one word they saying? This shit light work. Think Muhammad one of us, he might lose his life first. Circle up and stay alert. Another cop just stretch the nigga. He a demon, this that exorcism. Watch I bless the nigga. You took that oath in blood, then you know I'm gon' get active with ya. From the opposition, I see vision. Let me paint the picture. Rappers claim they spit, and I ain't listening. Is in fact the If revenge was a woman, now I scope that bitch like Jake. So time war, we gon' run the summer. It's gon' be historical. Thought they making plays, made them niggas call the audible. Ask who run this shit, but that question is rhetorical. Bitch, I'm the one, me cookies with the oil. I'ma get them crackers, hell should've never kidnapped my family. I can't just do that. Bet I be the last nigga standing. Do a life sentence for my niggas, pray you understand me. I might put a switch on this Glock and call it young baby. How you real trigger know them dots? You a bird feeder, claiming he a demon. What's a demon to a cold leader? What he saying something, I ain't him. This shit light work. It ain't on who got this gun, it's on who gon' up that pipe first. I turn a bad situation to a game changer. Bring soldiers from the dead, just raised up the chain. 6 shots, I'ma look like Aaron Jones when I run it. Never bite the hand and feed you, you'll never get that hand back. He bitchin' about 10%, I don't wanna hear none of that. He dropping sword, fuck him, just make sure you get that cover back. Look around, he ain't with us, probably cause he never was. Now my chin like you with the angels for your brothers. Everybody wanna be Richard Porter, God kill him like Alpo. Play if he want, it's laying in the trunk like Lee Malvo. I'm a certified woman's ass nigga, I am not a toy. Hey, I with that hollow sign, yeah, this the real McCoy. Feel like Gullah Jack when I'm in Fayetteville, you feel your boy. Still about my brain, still I think that's all that I do. The way I get that boy lost, they gon' start to call him Elroy. Fuck his game, pop out on them demons like I'm Hellboy.
We talking about practice, not a game, not the game that I go out there and die for and play every game like it's my last. Not the game. We talking about practice, man. I mean, how silly is that? And we talking about practice.
Best believe that I'm top 3. The only thing is I'm not 2 and I'm not 3. Put me anywhere of and they wonder it's not me. It's beef, we strut a nigga block, that's chopped cheese. No peace, the butterfly sting him, that's Ali. You reach, I teach him with the handle, that's Kyrie. Machines you hook like a Roman, that's IV. You a sheep, I'ma go, it's a difference, so watch me. You weak, all hooks, no punches, so block these. They mock me, I just show them how it goes. Try to stomach this thug life. They ring got the nose, bandana on the grip. All heads coming out the foe, connected from Cali to New York, niggas, so let it go. Made for this, nigga, I eat bars and drink flows. Thinking you woke into your third eye peephole. Line for line, this shit too easy, it's like a free throw. Mastered the game too early, this bitch a cheat code. It ain't a game, these niggas lame, they bring a shame. If I'm with an officer, it's a number in his name. We ain't the same, you want the easy pass, tell him change his lane. Shit, I've been through the fire, you can't stand the rain, take an aim. Tell him runner, he can try his best. Drive a car named after me, that's why I'm in the vet. Laugh at these niggas once again and I ain't break a sweat. Number 1 at everything I do, that's why I'm one west. The Lord is not the God of the dead, so when I die, coming back for my spot, so forever I'm top 3. Just tell him to watch this, janitor with the mop stick. You gon' need a defensive lineman to block this. On point when I bomb shit, 10 for 10 I do not miss. I'm barking with a full bulldog, it is not mixed. They can see that my mind's sick, I don't write, I find shit. I don't like it, then I'll switch. If I touch it, it's diamond. Tell a bitch that I'm God sent. It ain't because my kicks is built like 5'6", 5'7" is my bitch. Dangerous, high risk. I lose it, get another one. You think I'm talking about a girl? I'm talking about another gun. We here now? Hey, look, it is what it is now. We don't fuck with the house niggas. We burn the crib down. I'm ahead now, and I hope they can hear now. I don't care if you think it's it, nigga. I don't fear clowns. Silences make it sound like raindrop. That's a quiet storm. Get the job done in the view or get fired on. If you niggas standing for nothing, what you dying for? If you put real with real, that's how I was born. Walking this bitch ready for war. I'm in riot form. I want these niggas to see me flex. That's why I am on. I shouldn't live in the crib, nigga. I should buy a farm to go through this shit so effortless. Best believe that I'm top 3. Only thing is I'm not 2 and I'm not 3. Best believe that I'm top 3. Only thing is I'm not 2 and I'm not 3. Best believe that I'm top 3. Only thing is I'm
not two, and I'm not three.
What's going on here? All right, this is the Wednesday history class. Also, remember, check out Commanding General Yohanna's radio show, Monday, 2 a.m. UK time. We have classes here in the physical school, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. till 9. We have classes online Tuesday and Friday, 7 p.m. till 9. You can also ask your questions. Any question you got, just type them in the chat and we'll get to them. We have an on topic, off topic. Any question you got, also we're going to go into Nestle. He said, oh, was that the dance fitting? He was just fitting. That's Daniel Allah out of Philadelphia. So that's a brother named Daniel Allah out of Philadelphia. So so lucky Benjamin, we're gonna quickly go back to this slide where we left off last week. So if you put Benjamin,
okay, so I don't know if you can hear me. I'm not hearing at the moment.
Yeah, I can hear. Hey, go ahead, say something. Let me see if I can hear. Say something, Benjamin. Benjamin, say something. I can't. Hold on. Say something now. Go ahead, Benjamin. Benjamin, just refresh. Just jump out and come back in. Your mic's messing up. Hold on. All right, say something, Benjamin. Let me see if I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. I can hear you now. Yeah, go ahead, Benjamin. All right, and also I read it. The brother's having technical difficulties. Says from a so now this is a brother that went into slavery. So what happened is he was kidnapped. He was living in West Africa, and he was kidnapped from West Africa, and then he was sold, and he ended up going over the Caribbean to England to the Americas. So he was sent all over. So now let's read this. It says, from a state of bliss to a scene which is inexpressible by me, as it discovered to me an element I had never before beheld, until then had no idea of, and wherein such instances of hardship and cruelty continually occurred, as I can never reflect on but with horror. So now he's talking about what he went through. It says, all the nations and people I had hitherto passed through resembled our own in their manners, customs, and language. So he's saying the people that he knew had the same customs and same manner and same language, because he was amongst his own people. So this was the Israelites that was dwelling in West Africa. He was amongst them, so he noticed they had their own customs and their own language. It says, but I came at length to a country, the inhabitants of which differed from us in all those particulars. So now he's saying he came amongst the people which differed from them. It's like you say something, Benjamin. Let me see if we can hear. Nah, I can't hear. Say to a country, it says the inhabitants of which differed from us in all those particulars. I was very much struck with this difference, especially when I came among the people who did not circumcise. So in West Africa, he came amongst real Africans who didn't circumcise, man. Who didn't follow the law. He didn't have the same customs as him. The reason he had these customs, why? Because his family was the stock of Israelites that fled from Jerusalem down into Africa, and they kept themselves separate. So they had certain customs and languages and manners that they followed, and now he is sold as a slave, and he's in the midst of people that didn't have the same customs as him. Now he's in the midst of real Africans. Hold on. With the difference, especially when it came among the people who did not circumcise and ate without washing. It goes. So he said they ate without. Hold on, where am I? It goes. They ate without washing their hands. Banyamin, say something. Let me see if I can hear.
Khan, sir, I think I should be all right now.
Yeah, you want to go now. Yeah, and just pick it up from where I left off.
Is that the second paragraph, sir? All nations and people.
Yeah, we can get it from there.
Canada one, Khan. All the nations and people I had hitherto passed through and resembled our own in their manners.
So it goes, they resemble. So now it says they resembled their own in their manners. Go ahead.
And language. But I came at length to a country.
Hold on 1 second. Judah, you asked this question the other day. I get it. You don't believe in the New Testament. I understand you don't believe in the New Testament. So every time you say that, you asked it the other day. But hold on, let me pull one for you. Bear with me. Happy and get me. Hakim, get me Matthew chapter 3 and verse 17.
Come on, council. Matthew 3 verse 17. And lo, a voice from heaven saying.
A voice from where?
Heaven.
There you go, Juju. The voice from heaven. Go ahead.
Saying, this is my beloved son.
This is my beloved son.
I am well pleased.
In whom I am well pleased. Go ahead.
I think it goes to the next chapter now, sir.
No, it should be, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Hear ye him. That's what it's supposed to say.
Okay, Khan. Like, yeah. On my phone, sir. Yeah. It's not giving me the rest of it. So like, yeah, it's not giving me the rest of the scripture.
All right, no sweat. We leave it there. All right. It goes, and lo, a voice from heaven saying, "This is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased." Now, in the next account, it says, "This is my beloved son. Hear ye him." See, look at this. Judah said that voice is Lucifer. Listen, Judah, you're an idiot. So okay, you're an idiot. You don't have a brain. This right here is a brother that got kicked out of the school. He needs to take his medication. But it's lucky. Go ahead, man, Yamin.
Oh, is it? Khan.
But I came at length to a country, the inhabitants of which differed from us in all those.
Now he's saying when he was amongst the Hamites, what they did differed from what he did. Go ahead.
I was very much struck with this difference, especially when I came among a people who did not circumcise.
And now he's amongst the Hamites that didn't circumcise. Go ahead.
And ate without washing their hands.
Go ahead.
They cooked also in iron pots and had European cutlasses and crossbows, which were unknown to us, and fought with their fists amongst themselves.
So they was brutal. They would fight each other and fought all of those things. Go ahead.
Their women were not so modest as ours.
And he goes, their women weren't so modest. So now, obviously, we have customs and laws on how women should dress and carry herself. These Africans didn't have that. Go ahead.
For they ate and drank and slept with their men.
Go ahead.
But above all, I was amazed to see no sacrifices or offerings among them.
And you were surprised to see that they didn't do sacrifices or offerings, because that's what they was doing. Go ahead.
In some of those places, the people ornamented themselves with scars. And
he goes, some people ornamented themselves with scars, and then You have a lot of people say that. What do people say? The Igbo is Israelites.
Yeah, they do, you know. That's what they say, yeah.
A lot of people say the Igbo are Israelites, and all you have to do is look at this right here, and this will tell you. Hold on. Read that for me, Hakeem.
Quran Khan. Facial ritual sacrification. Aichi was a form of facial ritual sacrifice. So like I can't even see it. But
Scarification.
Scarification. Worn by mainly men of the Igbo people of Nigeria.
Men of the what?
The men of the Igbo people of Nigeria.
Listen, man, the Igbos are not Israelites, man. You can look up their customs. They got Israelite customs. That's why this brother here, once he was amongst the Africans, he said, yo, they scarred themselves, man. He goes to scar themselves. And when you look up the Igbo people's culture, what do the Igbo people do? Scar themselves. The Igbo is known for scarification. People lie and say, oh, them scars ain't West Africans. The Igbo is known for scarification, man. And what this brother saw when he was amongst them, he saw scarification, and he said, amongst my people, we didn't do these things. Hold on, let me go back to that. Read that part again one more time, Benjamin.
Canada one count, sir. But above all, I was amazed to see no sacrifices or offerings among them. In some of those places, the people ornamented themselves with scars.
The people ornamented themselves with scars. So that's
And
what
likewise,
he saw. Go ahead.
Like I see a lot of Africans with like tribal scars on their face when I see them, and that's what they're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Can't.
So they ornament themselves with scars, and he wasn't used to seeing that way because he was an Israelite amongst his own people. And then once he got kidnapped and he looked at the people that kidnapped him, he realized they ornament themselves with scars. So what this brother went through is exactly what we say, that Israelites were sold by Africans.
Right.
Because he said they ornament themselves with scars. And then when you look in West Africa, let me pull that up one more time. Hold on. When you look it up in West Africa, that's what they do. They ornament themselves with scars. And read that for me one more time, Hakeem.
Sir. Facial ritual scarification. Itchy was a form of facial ritual scarification worn by mainly men of the Igbo people of Nigeria.
Nigerians used to scar themselves, and this brother was an Israelite, and he weren't used to seeing people with scars. He looked at them and said, damn, they modified themselves with scars. Why? Because that's always been an Igbo custom. So how are you coming now saying the Igbo are Israelites?
That's true.
They're not Israelites, man. The Igbo got their own culture, and their culture was to scar up their face. And that's why this brother that was going into slavery, he looked at them and realized that he weren't the same as them based off what they do.
And Salaki, sir, if I may add, if I could, sir.
Go ahead.
There's a scripture that says, thou shalt not mar the corners of your beard and also pierce your skin, right? Or scar your skin in Leviticus. So then if they were Hebrew Israelites, they would be following the law, wouldn't they?
Exactly. They would know that, but they ain't got none of our customs or culture, so they don't know that. They know their own culture, which is to scar themselves. This brother here, he knew his laws, and that's why he knew about the Passover and so forth. And then as he's going into slavery, he's looking at the Hamites, and he's realizing we ain't them. Now, people also say the Yoruba Israelites, right?
Yeah, they do. Yoruba. Yes, they do.
See, they say the Yoruba Israelites. All right, read this one for me.
Card. I'm just gonna make it bigger. Tribal marks known as Ila serve several important cultural purposes, which include the following: identification. The marks were used to identify family lineage and ethnic groups.
So they used it to identify family lineages and ethnic groups. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan. Enchantment of beauty. The Yoruba considered
The who?
Ilam-
The who? Wait,
the
the who?
Yoruba. The Yoruba.
Listen, those people that you're trying to make Israelites, man, they're known for scarring up their face as well. That's African customs.
Mhm.
Stop saying the Israelites, man. This brother right here, he knew they weren't Israelites. That's why he said, I was amazed to see them. Read that part one more time, Benjamin.
Canada one can, sir. But above all, I was amazed to see no sacrifices or offerings among them.
And he was
In
amazed
some
to
of-
see these things because he's used to see what? Sacrifices and offerings. Because why? He was amongst Israelites like himself. Until now, he's amongst Africans. Go ahead.
In some of those places, the people ornamented themselves with scars.
And he goes, some of those places, the people ornamented themselves with scars. He was in West Africa. And when you look in West Africa, who ornaments themselves with scars? The Yoruba and the Igbo, people that you're trying to say are Israelites, man.
That's right.
The people that you're trying to say are Israelites are the ones which was capturing brothers and selling them, man. And how does he know? By the scars on their face.
Right.
So that's how we know they ain't our people. They're Africans, man. They're Africans and we Israelites that dwell in Africa. There's a difference. Go ahead.
And likewise filed their teeth very sharp.
And they filed their teeth very sharp. So a lot of Africans would file their teeth very sharp. Very sharp would file their teeth. And that was their customs. Go ahead.
They wanted sometimes to ornament me in the same manner.
And now they wanted to ornament this brother in the same manner, meaning they wanted to do what? They wanted to file his teeth and give him tribal scars. Go ahead.
But I would not suffer them.
But he wouldn't allow them to. Why? Because he knows he's an Israelite and it's against God to disfigure himself like that. So that's what he understood. So now this is the first time he's seeing these kind of people, and he's like, "Damn, they don't look like my people." And he knew the difference straight away. Go ahead.
Hoping that I might sometime to be among a people who did not thus disfigure themselves.
And he said,
As I
"Nah."
thought
Actually, he read that part one more time.
But I would not suffer them, hoping that I might sometime be among a people who did not thus disfigure themselves.
And he said, "I'm not letting them do that to me because I plan to be amongst the people that don't disfigure themselves." Meaning he planned to be amongst his own people. At this stage, he's amongst Africans that disfigure themselves. He knew the difference straight away. Go ahead.
As I thought they did. At last I came into the banks of a large river, which was covered with canoes, in which the people...
Ahaba said, Salaki said, I never got why they always say that, like call the slaves African, and say we all came from there. Like technically we was there, but how do we prove we weren't the same? All right, the way we prove we weren't the same is we can find how we got there and when we got there, and we can find where we dwelt there, and then the Yoruba. When you look up their origin, the Yoruba and the Igbo and the rest of these Africans, they have origins. So you can look up the origin of how they got to that place, and then you will see where we was. They already occupied it before we got there. And then you will see that we was in between them. And then what happened is them two both sides started to fight against us and remove us and started to sell us. So when we was there, we had a place called the Kingdom of Judah and so forth. And what they done is they destroyed our kingdom and started to sell us. And that's how we know we ain't them and they know that they ain't us either. Because when you look at their ethnic tribes, based on whatever they call themselves, that lets you know that we ain't them because they have their language, their home, their everything. What happened is the reason why people think that we all one is because once people from the Caribbean started coming to America, once slaves started going to the Americas and the Caribbean and then to England, white people didn't understand geography. So then they would speak to the slaves and would speak to them and say, "Oh, where are you from? Where are you from?" And they would say Jamaica. And then the average white man would say, "Oh, where in Africa is that?" So what it is, we was dealing with very ignorant people that didn't know geography. They didn't know the difference between the Caribbean and Africa. So they just labeled everyone black as African. So they would say, they got it in a book where There was a brother from Jamaica, and the Edomites asked him, where are you from? He's like, oh, Jamaica. And the Edomites gone, oh, where in Africa is that? So them thinking we're all the same is just ignorance. They don't take the time out to do the studying and the research.
Salakia, sir.
Go ahead.
Also, what I don't understand is how do they know the difference between different dogs, right? Dogs, animals, and they can't tell the difference between two races of black people. And also, sir, we left Jerusalem at around 70 CE, right?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
And before we got there, they was already there, right? Is what you're trying to tell Hawaba, right?
Yes, those people there, it was very much inhabited because now they had a thing called, I believe it was millet grain, and they got a thing called the nut culture. Hold on, let me pull it up. They got a thing called the nut culture, and the nut culture. Hold on, bear with me.
That there would be another class, other one. The difference there as well.
Sorry, say that again.
That would be a really heavy class, to go into as well about the difference between why they call us Israelite Africans.
I'm a defo do it. Salakia, get me that one. Let me hear it.
Yeah, the Nok culture is a population which material remains are named after the Ham village of Nok.
Named after the what?
The Ham village of Nok.
They know the Ham, man.
Yeah.
They know the Ham. It's named after the Ham village of Nok. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan in southern Kaduna state of Nigeria.
It's found in the Kaduna state of Nigeria. Hold on. Actually, go ahead.
Yeah. Where their terracotta sculptures were first discovered in 1928.
They discovered their sculptures. Go ahead.
The Nok people of Ganjigana people may have migrated from the central Sahara, along with pearl millet and pottery.
So now, once they traveled, they had pearl millet and pottery. We're gonna go look at pearl millet in a minute. But go ahead.
Kadwan Khan, and diverged prior to arriving in the north region of modern day Nigeria.
Oh, so they came from the Sahara and ended up in modern day Nigeria. These are Africans, man. They came from the Sahara and they migrated. A lot of them came from like Egypt and so forth and started going into Nigeria. Go ahead.
This may have led to their respective settlements in the regions of Ganjigana and Nok.
Go ahead.
Nok people may have also migrated from West Africa, Sahel, to the region of Nok.
And they said they could have migrated from the West African Sahel to the region of Nok. Go ahead.
Nok culture may have emerged in 1500 BCE.
Oh, wait. What year did it say? What year?
He said 1500 BCE.
So if the Nok culture emerged in 1500 BCE and we started fleeing into Africa into 70 AD, how are we those people? How are we those people?
How many? So, like you said, how many years difference is that? If I could,
that's over 1500 years difference.
Over 1500 years difference.
1500 years plus the 70. So 1570 years prior to us even going there in bulk. They already had a civilization there because they had the Nok culture, and it says in 1500 BCE. Someone typing on their phone, how long is 1500 BCE before 70 AD? Hold on, let me see if there's any more. Bear with me. Let me.
Before 70 AD, right? Khan. Oh, it says here. Did you get it, Banyamin?
I'm on it. I'm looking at it now, sir.
Yeah.
Hold on.
How long?
Bear with me. Hold on.
come up with a BC to AD calculator though. Doesn't really give
Hold on, I'm just trying to find something. Hold on, let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Might be easier to find on my phone.
1000. Yeah.
Is Salakia, sir? It's just giving me the date from 1500 BCE to date.
Yeah,
But,
no.
I think you're correct.
Sorry, say that
I
again.
think it's giving me the date from 1500 BCE to date, which is 3,500 years.
No sweat.
So in respect, it would be this the 1570 years, as you said, sir.
See, so that's years on top of years on top of years. Hold on. Let me share this one. This is another one with this is what it's called. It's called pearl millet. Salakia, go ahead.
Pearl millet, Centuris americanus, commonly known as the cinnamon.
Actually, you know what? Just scroll down to the part where it says the Sahel zone of northern Mali.
The Sahel zone of northern Mali.
Give it from the crop here for the crop.
From the crop, yeah, where's that?
Hold on, I'm moving the mouse on it. Let me highlight it. Can you see it here?
Yeah. Okay, you can't, sir. Got it. For the crop is in Sahel zone of West Africa.
For the crops in West Africa, go ahead.
Recent archaeobotanical research has confirmed the presence of domesticated pearl millet on the Sahel zone.
What does it mean if something's domesticated?
So like I said, it's been farmed.
There you go. It's been farmed and taken care of.
Farmed, right, Khan.
It's been farmed and taken care of. It's domesticated. Go ahead.
Khan. Presence of domesticated pearl millet on the Sahel zone of northern Mali between 2,500 and 2,000 BC.
Listen, man, those Africans in West Africa, way before we got there, man, they had domesticated pearl millet between 2,500 and 2,000 BC. Like, how much more proof do you need that we're not? How much more proof do people need that we're not Africans? These like keep saying to us, we're African, we're African, we're African. And when you do the research, you realize Africans was already there before we got there.
That's right.
So who domesticated the grain? This is what I'm saying. Who domesticated the grain? Africans, man.
That's right.
People lie, and will make out like, oh yeah, the Yorubas are Israelites. The Yorubas are Israelites. How can they be Israelites when they was around in these BC times and they had civilizations? Some lunatic tried to tell me Mansa Musa was an Israelite.
So lucky, sir, if I may, it seemed like, sir, they're just trying to join themselves to us because we was in Jerusalem and they was in their ends. Exactly. So how the hell are they going to be the same as us? So lucky.
Exactly. Now everyone knows the Bible is the greatest book on the earth.
That's
People
right.
need to turn off to the Bible. Ahaba said, how did we get there? Was it from Moses' time or were we brought there another time before being sold out to slavery? So what happened is in 70 AD, once Rome destroyed Jerusalem, Christ in the Bible told the Israelites flee into the mountains, and then the brothers that took heed, they fled into places like Africa, and that's how we got there, and then we set up kingdoms there, and then once they overthrew our kingdoms, they sold us from West Africa all over the Americas. So that's how we got there. So all of us fled into Africa because we was leaving Jerusalem because they destroyed it. So from there, they done shipped us from there all over Europe, the Americas, and now they tell us we're African. And this is why black men will tell you that. This is why black men will tell you things like, "Cause I'm Ghanaian, I'm Nigerian." The reason to say that is because at one stage we were sold from them places, so we fled there, and then we lost all traces of who we was, and then that's as far as we can go back. Because I'm originally from Ghana, originally I'm from Nigeria, and they feed us that lie, and then that's how that lie survived today. Because that lie survives because this world can't have us know that we're the real Jews. Because if we did know who was the real Jews, then we would understand that damn, we shouldn't be fighting to save these Hamites for everything that they've put us through. Yes, lucky. Go ahead, Benjamin.
Canada one cancer. So
Actually, hold on. Let me skip this slide. Let me get this one. Let me skip that one.
thus I continued to travel, sometimes by land, sometimes by water.
He's letting you know his journey of him going into slavery now. He started to travel by land. Go ahead.
Sometimes by water, through different countries and various nations, till at the end of 6 or 7 months after I had been kidnapped, I arrived at a sea coast. It would be tedious and uninteresting to relate all the incidents which befell me during this journey, and which I have not yet forgotten.
And he said he ain't forgotten, man. He said he ain't forgotten what he went through. So now he's going into. This is the first time the account of a brother going into slavery. Go ahead.
The first object which saluted my eyes when I arrived on the coast was the sea and a slave ship.
So now this brother. He's seeing slavery firsthand. He said the first thing he saw was the sea and the slave ship. He's never seen such a large body of water in his life. Because where we was living amongst ourselves, where we was keeping the Passover and all of these kind of things. Hold on, do I need to go back to that slide to show? Hold on. Let me see if I can go back to the slide to prove that this brother was an Israelite, how he had customs that we've got. Hold on. Bear with me. Yeah, go ahead. Let me get this one.
So, like I said, start from the first paragraph.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on. Let me see. Yeah, go ahead.
I remember many used to come to see me, and I was carried about to others for that purpose. They have many offerings, particularly at full moons. Generally, 2 at harvest before the fruits are taken out of the ground.
So this was a brother that was an Israelite in West Africa, and he's talking about the Feast of First Fruits, man. He don't even know he's an Israelite, but he's talking about the Feast of First Fruits. He's letting you know the customs that they had when they was in West Africa. Go ahead.
And when any young animals are killed, sometimes they offer up part of them as a sacrifice.
And now, how would he know about sacrifices? Why? Because he's an Israelite, man. Go ahead.
These offerings, when made by one of the heads of the family,
So now
serve,
the heads of the family, meaning a priest or whatnot, go ahead.
serve for the whole. I remember when we often had them at my father's, and my uncles and their families have been present. Some of our offerings are eaten with bitter herbs.
He said some of our offerings are eaten with bitter herbs. Benjamin, what do we eat with bitter herbs?
So like I said, that's the lamb. That's the lamb on Passover.
There you go. And this brother right here, he was in West Africa, so how would he know about the Passover? Why? Because he is a descendant of them Israelites that fled from Jerusalem, man. And that's how he knows about the Passover. That's how he knows about it. Whereas what we read not long ago, we read about the natural Hamites who scar up their face. We read about the natural Hamites who scar up their face. This brother here, he knew that he wasn't them. Now, when you read on, you speak about their offerings and how they buried the dead, but let me go back to the slide we was at. Yeah, go ahead.
Canada on concert. The first object which saluted my eyes when I arrived on the coast was the sea.
Hey, Kanye, Israel, that's right, man. Listen, this world definitely don't want us to know who we are. They definitely don't want us to know who we are. Well, in the ISUPK, listen, we letting the whole world know, man. We ain't no Africans, we're Israelites according to the Bible. And now more people are finding out day by day. So what people try and do now is say, oh, don't listen to them guys, the rebels or the shadow banners off the internet. So either way, let's try to hide it. But the work of the Lord can't be stopped. Let's lucky. Go ahead, Benjamin.
The first object which saluted my eyes when I arrived on the coast was the sea and a slave ship, which was then riding at anchor and waiting for its cargo.
Now he's in a slave ship, and it goes. At this time, he was young. He was about 11 years old when he's going into slavery. He was between 10 and 11 years old because he was kidnapped from his village. Go ahead.
These filled me with astonishment, which was soon converted into terror when I was carried on board. I was immediately handled and tossed up to see if I were sound by some of the crew.
And now, meaning the tossed him up, meaning they looked at him to see if he's even worth taking. You see, like it's like when people buy football players, they look at them, give them physicals and medicals, and just to see. They done the same thing with this brother here. Go ahead.
And I was now persuaded that I had gotten into a world of bad spirits.
And now
And
he
that
thought
they-
it was the world of bad spirits because he's seen white people for the first time in his life. Go ahead.
And that they were going to kill me.
And he thought they was going to kill him. And that's what the oppressor likes to do, man. He likes to kill people. This young brother, he knew right, man. Go ahead.
Their complexions too differing so much from ours.
They're what?
Their complexions too differing much from ours.
And he said their complexions differed from ours, man, because he ain't never seen a white man in his life. Go ahead.
Their long hair and the language they spoke.
And now he said the long hair and the language they spoke. How can get me that scripture where it talks about a tongue that we don't understand? Like it's Deuteronomy 28 somewhere.
Yeah,
Like this brother's whole life. I've read this brother's whole story and his whole life. You can see his whole life is in the Bible. Everything he explained is in the book of Deuteronomy. Like everything this brother explained, you can read it in the book of Deuteronomy if you wanted to know. Put it this way, if you wanted Deuteronomy 28 in someone's life, this brother.
It's Deuteronomy 28 verse 49.
Hey, for what, Benjamin? Go ahead, Hakim. 28 and 49.
Deuteronomy 28:49. Throw it out, Benjamin. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
And now, how do you know that? How do you know that this nation was from far? Because he ain't never seen a complexion like that in his life. He ain't never seen them in his life. He's seen a slave ship and he's seen all these people that he don't know where they came from or what they are because he ain't seen them before a day in his life. Go ahead.
Quran Khan. From the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation.
Go ahead.
Quran Khan. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
And listen, this is how you know the Bible's true. So the nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Read that part again from the book, Benjamin.
Their complexions too differing from ours, their long hair and the language they spoke, which was very different from any I ever heard.
And the language they spoke, which was very different from any I have ever heard. So what this brother's saying right here is the same thing we're reading about in Deuteronomy. This brother's realizing the nation came from far with a different complexion that is never seen before, with a language that is never heard before. That's the same thing the Lord said to us in the book of Deuteronomy, man. Go ahead, Benjamin.
United to confirm me in this belief. Indeed, such were the horrors of my views and fears at the moment, that if 10,000 words had been my own, I would have freely parted with them all to have exchanged my condition with that of the meanest slave in mine own country.
Go ahead.
When I looked round the ship, too, I saw a large...
He's saying he would have swapped position with the meanest person in his own country. Go ahead.
That's right, sir. When I looked round the ship, too, and saw a large furnace or copper boiling, and a multitude of black people of every description chained together.
And he looked around and he saw a description of tons of black people all chained together. What he's seen is the slave ship firsthand. This is a first-hand account of a brother that actually came on the slave ship. Go ahead. This ain't a white historian talking about how it was. This is his own autobiography of what he's seen. It's in black men of all different complexions chained together. Go ahead.
Every one of their countenances expressing dejection and sorrow.
Every one of their countenances expressing dejection and sorrow. And the Bible talks about when we go to slavery, we're gonna have a strange look on our face, man. We're gonna wish it was the evening. We're gonna wish it was the morning. We're gonna be what's that word it uses in Deuteronomy 28? There's a word it uses in Deuteronomy 28 for fear. What's that word for fear? There's a word for fear it uses in there.
Trembling. So okay, sorry.
I can't remember what word it is, but in Deuteronomy 28 somewhere there's a certain word it uses for fear. And these brothers had that fearful look on their face. Why? Because they're seeing all their people chained up and they're all going into slavery.
Is it their heart melted or something like that?
Nah, I don't think it's that one. I'll probably find it in a bit. There's one of them though, I can't remember what it is. Yes, okay, go ahead.
Kind of the one count, sir. Every one of their countenances expressing dejection and sorrow. I no longer doubted of my fate, and quite overpowered with horror and anguish, I fell motionless on the deck and fainted.
This brother fell motionless on the deck and fainted. Why? Because imagine you're getting shipped abroad now. You seeing a ship. You realizing I ain't gonna see my family again. He fell motionless and fainted. Go ahead.
When I recovered a little, I found some black people about me who I believe were.
Go ahead, Haki, and pick up this side. This one.
Come. Sorry, where am I reading from? The should heap.
From the top. Yeah, from the top.
Should heap into the water, and I have seen some of these poor African prisoners most severely cut for attempting to do so.
So there's some brothers, obviously, it's going to call them Africans because that's what the world believes. So now, but these are Israelites, and he's saying he's seen some that was going to leap into the water, which means they would rather die by drowning than be a slave. And then what did the oppressor do? Beat them for trying to jump into the water. Go ahead.
And so, like you said, if I may just add as well, they would rather be eaten by sharks because remember you were saying that last week about the sharks even follow that trail to this day.
Mm-hmm. So they're definitely rather be eaten by sharks than whipped every day and enslaved so bad that brothers in slavery were saying, "Damn, I'd rather die, man." They're saying, "I'd rather die, man." In the Bible it says brothers is going to seek death and not find it, man. Imagine it was that bad. You're seeking death, and the oppressor wouldn't give you the space to do it, man. You didn't have enough space to do it. Go ahead.
Karan Khan, and hourly whipped for not eating.
And what? Imagine that you're getting whipped for not eating, man. Imagine you're impressed, no appetite, and these men are beating you and forcing you to eat. That's what they was enduring on them ships. This is a first-hand account. Go ahead.
Karan Khan, so. This indeed was so often the case with myself. In a little time after, amongst the poor chained men, I found some of my own nation, which in a small decree gave ease to my mind.
And now he's seeing some brothers that are from where he's from, and that gave him ease, like, yo, though in this horrible condition, at least you get me. You know, when you walk into a job and there's a black man there, and you feel a certain type of way, like, yo, I don't want to be here, but I got a brother with me. That's like he thought it eased him a bit. Go ahead.
Okay. I inquired of these what was to be done with us. They gave me to understand we were to be carried to these white people's country to work for them.
And they said we're going to be carried to these white people's country to work for them. That's what they said, man.
So like
they told him, yo, go ahead.
Wouldn't this be, what's his name, Christopher Columbus?
This is way after that.
Way after, okay.
Yes, way after. So now they was taught that black people went into slavery at different times. So this one have been the first ship, but people have seen and heard. And if you watch Roots, you see when they go to by the river and they see the white man on the ship and they run the opposite way. Obviously, that. Yeah. So they was taking people in different times. And they took this brother like what, late 1600s, I believe. Okay, go ahead.
Is that Salaki, sir? Is that where the you know where the ships come, yeah, with the crosses on, where Jamaicans, Benjamites get the saying crosses?
I don't know
Is
where
that
they
where,
get that.
you know the ships used to come with the red crosses? Is that right, Benjamin?
Salakia, sir. I think Salakia, sir, if I may.
Go ahead, Benjamin.
I think the crosses come from Jesus carrying the cross, because they normally say trials and crosses.
Oh, right.
So my trials and crosses. So Christ being tried and carrying the cross is like like a burden or sort of stuff.
Listen, I know nothing about that Jamaican lingo. So, okay, you got to speak to Zarkon and Banyamin about that. So, nothing about it. Okay, go ahead, Hakian.
Sir. I then was a little revived and thought if we were no worse than working, my situation was not so desperate. But still, I feared I should be put to death.
And he thought he was going to be put to death, man. He thought he was going to die. Go ahead.
The white people looked and acted as I thought, in so savage a manner.
He goes, they looked and acted in so savage manner. Get me that scripture, Benjamin, where it goes, they got a fierce countenance. Listen, man, if you want to read Deuteronomy And 28 and this book, you'll realize this brother's life is Deuteronomy the 28th chapter.
Right.
Everything he said is you can find in Deuteronomy 28 the slave ship, the fierce countenance, the language you didn't understand. His life is Deuteronomy the 28th chapter. Go ahead.
And 28:50, Benjamin.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not be
countenance, and that's why he thought he was going to die, because they had a fierce countenance, man. Everything the Lord said would happen to us, this brother experienced it in one day, man. He experienced Deuteronomy the 28th chapter in his lifetime, man.
That's right.
He experienced the slave ship, the fierce countenance, the strange language, and he wrote a whole book about it. And the crazy thing is, with this book, not a lot of people have this book, because most people look at it and think, nah, I ain't reading that nigga's autobiography. Sometimes you have to read a slave journal to understand what happened. Like, he ain't got no reason to lie. At first, I was skeptical about reading it. I looked at the pictures and I ain't reading this. So I brought the book one day. I had the book for years sitting down. And one day I said, you know what, let me give it a read. And I gave it a read and I said, damn, this is Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. I thought I was reading Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter when I read it. And now with this book, it's in every library and no one picks it up, because obviously people just think, oh, it's just going to be one of those books. But it's actually a good book to own. It's lucky. Go ahead.
Can't, so I think have you changed the
change it.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yes, lucky.
Yeah, can't. Slaki, where was I? Where is it? Work for them. But I still fear that I'd be put to death. The white people looked and acted as I thought, in so savage a manner.
And he goes, they acted how they looked, man, like savages. And that's one thing about the oppressor. He is a savage.
That's right.
He tries to say the American Indians are savages and the Jamaicans are savages, when he's a savage, man. Look his track record lets you know he's a savage. Lucky, go ahead.
Khan, for I had never seen among any people such instances of brutal cruelty.
And he said, I've never seen such instances amongst any people of such brutal cruelty. And what you'll find is the oppressor is cruel.
That's right.
It's cruel. This brother right here, he's letting you know how cruel the oppressor is. He ain't seen cruelty and brutality like this. Go ahead.
Khan. And this not only shown towards us blacks, but also to some of the white slaves.
And even he was like, damn, not only did they treat us bad, they even treated their own people bad. Why do you think they had the potato famine with the Irish and so forth? The white man don't even care about his own people. So you thinking he's going to care about you is crazy. He ain't going to care about you because he don't care about his own people. Go ahead.
Right. Khan. One white man in particular I saw when we were permitted to be on deck, flogged so unmercifully with a large rope near the foremast that he died in consequence of it.
And they beat their own people. Imagine that. A man whips you so bad you die. Imagine that. You beat a man so bad he dies, man. That's what they did to their own people. I mean, what do you think they're gonna do to us? Go ahead.
And they tossed him over the side as they would have done a brute.
Peter London, man, your ancestors don't brutalize our people, man. Your ancestors don't brutalize our people and their own, man. Now listen, man, when Jesus Christ returns, I'm telling you, that whip is gonna be in our hand, man. That whip's gonna be in our hand in that day. Go ahead, Hakeem.
Karawan Khan. This made me fear these people the more.
And he goes, this made me fear them even more because he ain't never seen such brutality like that in his life. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan.
Hey, Shalom, Princess Nizam Slaki, go ahead.
And I expected nothing less than to be treated in the same manner. I could not help expressing my fears and apprehensions to some of my countrymen.
And imagine all of them are afraid, man. He's expressing his fears. You have to remember at this time he's expressing his fears. He's 11 years old. He's 11 years old, man. Go ahead.
Wow, look at that. I asked them.
What did the Bible say? The Bible says they don't regard the old or the young.
The young, that's right.
They don't regard the old or the young. This is a young brother that was going into slavery, man. Why? Because the oppressor don't regard the old or the young. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan. I asked them if these people had no country, but lived in this hollow place, the ship. They told me they did not, but they came from a distant one.
Wait, hold on. The people told him the what?
They did not, but came from a distant one.
See, the people told him they came from a distant country. And what did the Bible say in Deuteronomy 28? They come from a far place. What did it say?
Right.
Pull that for me one more time. Deuteronomy 28 and
I've got it here, sir.
Go ahead,
Deuteronomy 28, verse 49. And the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
Wait, from where?
Wow.
From far.
The Lord said he's going to bring a nation from far. And this brother right here was told they have a country, but they came from a distant one, man. That's the same thing, man. You just switch the words around. It's the same thing. This brother lived Deuteronomy 28, man.
What? Yeah.
He lived it, and he left his account. And if I was you, I'd go buy a copy before they start getting rid of the copy.
Yeah.
I'd go buy a copy. I'd go buy a copy while the book's still about £5.
I know where it is in the library. I'm gonna pick it up from the library. There's a library.
The book's still about £5. I recommend everyone have it in their collection because it's a good book. It will give you Deuteronomy 28, a man's real life, breaking down. Listen, a man that don't even know about the Bible, he's breaking down stuff which ties into the Bible.
Right.
I told him the people came from a distance, man. Go ahead.
Then said I, how comes it in all our country we have never heard of them?
And they go, how come in all our country we've never heard of them? Why? Which lets you know that they didn't know about white people, man. They didn't know about them because they was living down there in West Africa amongst themselves. They didn't know about these Edomites, man, until they seen them for that first day and it was like, yo, what's this? Go ahead.
Counter. They told me because they live so far off. I then asked where were their women? Have they any like themselves?
And he asked, well, where's their women? Because he's used to seeing black women, and he's asking, well, these men look like this. Where are their women? Do their women look like this too? Just imagine you've never seen a white man in your life and you see one. You're going to be like, yo. You're going to be scared. He's 11 years. It's like a horror movie. It's like seeing a monster. It's like seeing a real-life monster. And then you see this real-life monster beat someone to death. And you see this real-life monster whip you for not eating. You're going to be petrified of these people because you don't know what they are. The reason why you're so comfortable around them today is because you've grown up seeing them. Imagine having never seen them in your life. You'll be petrified, man. But you grew up with them so much now that you like their women now. That's how much you've grown up with them. Whereas back in these days, these lot was afraid of them. Like, yo, look at these people. How come they look like that? nowadays we're around them so much that our people start to like their people. It's lucky. Go ahead.
Salakia, sir. I was far away when you mentioned about the our men going with their women now. That triggered something, boy. I was you know what I mean, but took me right back. Salakia. I then asked where were their women. They had they any like themselves? I was told they had, and why? I said I do we not see?
That's lucky, Benjamin. Get me this one.
Canada and Cancer. Some of those who brought me on board and had been receiving their pay, they talked to me in order to cheer me.
So listen,
but all in vain.
Listen, don't be saying there's good white people out there because they spoke to him to cheer him up. It said right here that as they had been receiving their pay. So if there was good white people, they said, "No, I'm not doing this job." They would have said, "I'm not going to do this slave ship job." Don't let that part go over your head. You might be like, "Oh, but they cheered him up after receiving their pay." What was their pay? To make sure he's a good slave. That's what they're getting paid for. Now, your heart is where your treasure is. If they really cared, guess what? They wouldn't do that job. Peter London, would you do that job? Peter London, I'm asking, would you do that job? So, lucky, go ahead, Benjamin.
I asked them if we were not to be eaten by those white men with horrible looks.
He thought that they was going to eat him. That's what I'm saying. He really thought there was monsters. There was savage, there was brutal, and he ain't seen nothing like it before. He thought they was going to eat him. Go ahead.
Eaten
this
by
sounds
those
crazy.
white men.
Imagine having not seen those people before. You'd think the same. Go ahead.
Eaten by those white men with horrible looks, red faces, and loose hair.
And he goes, these men was eaten by those white men with horrible looks, red faces, and loose hair. Meaning their hair. Listen, man, this stringy hair. Yeah, he's used to seeing Afro nappy hair.
Yeah.
So now he's seeing them. He's saying, yo, they got loose hair. He ain't seen that texture hair in his life. So to him, it's like, yo, what kind of hair is this? That hair's loose hair because it's not nappy. And listen, if you look at our hair is very woolly and nappy. Their hair looks loose, like what he's saying. He ain't never seen them before. He called it loose hair. Go ahead.
They told me I was not. And one of the crew brought me a small portion of spirituous liquor in a wine glass. But being afraid of him, I would not take it out of his hand.
And he was afraid, man. He was so afraid he wouldn't take the wine glass out of his hand. Go ahead.
One of the blacks therefore took it from him and gave it to me. And I took a little down my palate, which instead of reviving me, as they thought it would, threw me into the greatest consternation and strange feeling it produced, having never tasted such liquor before. Soon after this, the blacks who brought me on board went off and left me abandoned to despair.
But now the blacks that brought him on board, those was the Africans, man.
That's
those
right.
That's the difference between us and them. The difference between us and them is they brought us on board and they came off board to go back to their country, to go back to their land. That's the difference, man. Because those blacks that brought me on board, go ahead.
Now I saw myself deprived of all chance of returning to my native country.
And now he's on the ship. He's on the ship. Now he knows he ain't going back to his native country. Give me that in Deuteronomy 28 where it says, "You land, you shall see it no more."
Can't.
Let me get in that. Let me get that in Deuteronomy 28.
Canada and concert. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Listen, this brother's life is Deuteronomy 28, man. He ran on the ship. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
And he goes, look, man, the way that I spake unto you, you ain't seen this land no more again, man. Even though he wasn't in Israel at the time, but you get the point. He was dwelling somewhere in West Africa, and he ain't going back there, man. They're taking him far away. He's on this ship, and he's seeing a large body of water. There's no end to this large body of water that he's seeing, and he knows if they take me on there, I'm pretty much done. And he didn't see nothing is land again. Go ahead.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
There you go, man. On the other end, we were sold for bondmen and bondwomen. That also happened to this brother. So like, he picked me back up on the slide.
Another one comes, sir. Soon after this, the blacks who brought me on board went off and left me abandoned to despair. Now I saw myself deprived of all chance of returning to my native country, or even the least glimpse of hope of gaining the shore, which I now considered as friendly.
Go ahead.
And I even wished for my former slavery in preference to my present situation,
Go ahead.
which was filled with horrors of every kind, still heightened by my ignorance of what was to undergo. What I
So he was in slavery before he got kidnapped from his village, and then it was amongst some Hamites for a time, and they kept moving him through the country.
You prefer the Hamites?
Yeah. So while it is with slavery, it weren't a thing where they capture you and you go on the ship the same day. It's a journey away. So while it is you're going through woods, you have to stop off overnight. You have to stay here. You stay there for a few weeks, and then they bring you to the. So it was like that. So this brother is saying, "Yo, I would rather just stay there than you get me than this one now." Go ahead.
And I even wish for my former slavery in preference to my present situation.
Saying, damn, he's saying, damn, it's like us in the job. Sometimes you say, yo, I'd rather the old slavery than this new one, man. If you've ever got a new job, sometimes you say, you know what, I'd rather the old job than the new job. So, Lucky, go ahead.
Which was filled with horrors of every kind, still heightened by my ignorance of what was to undergo. I was not long suffered to indulge my grief. I was soon put down under the decks.
And this brother was put under the decks. Go ahead.
And there I received such a salutation in my nostrils.
Listen, man, he said the stench it smelled horrible under there, man. He said he was put under the deck and he received such a smell in his nostrils. Always remember that when you read about slavery, people skip over it, but there's certain parts where, like the ship, how bad it smelled, how people's dying on there, how people's chained on there. When you just sit in there, press the school, you'll just tell you, yeah, they went on slavery in ships. They don't tell you the condition of the ship. So to make people understand sometimes, you need to tell them the condition of the ship so they can realize, all right, then it wasn't just a ship and you just got shipped abroad. You have to let them know how people died and how it's smart and all of those kind of things. Go ahead.
I received such a salutation.
With slavery, you want to make people be able to picture it. Like, you don't want to just say, oh yeah, we went into slavery. Especially with camp, you don't want to just say we went into slavery. You want to make them picture what slavery was like, how they got kidnapped, how families was torn apart, how people had children, fathers, sisters, never ever saw them again, was separated from them, was beaten and whipped, was forced to eat food they didn't want to eat, had their teeth knocked out. Some people would rather jump off the ship and die. Some people was killed on the ship. They used to make people fight each other on the ship for entertainment. You want to go into all of that, what was going on the ship? Because the ship weren't a thing where you just on there on Monday and you land on Tuesday. You was on there for months, shackled down, being fed a spoon of water and so forth. So you're going to go into all of those kind of things when you talk about slave ship, so people can realize how horrible and how brutal it actually was. So Lucky, go ahead.
And there I received such a salutation in my nostrils as I had ever experienced in my life, so that with the loathness of the stench and crying together, I became so sick.
Horrible. It smells horrible, and there's people crying. Imagine there's people crying because they've been torn apart from their family. Go ahead.
You have to wait.
I became Salakia, sir.
No, Salaki, that was me. Salaki.
With loathsomeness of the stench and crying together, I became so sick and low that I was not able to eat.
So also take that into consideration, like you're on the ship, it smells horrible. You're depressed, and then obviously you have no appetite. I mean, some people have no appetite when their woman tells them it's over. Imagine someone have no appetite when the woman tells them it's over. Imagine you're leaving the whole country and family. Of course, you're not going to want to eat. You're going to have no appetite. And because you got no appetite, the oppressor will beat you on top of it, man. And say, yo, you better eat something. Sometimes you just physically can't eat because you just got no appetite because of what you're going through. The oppressor will beat you on top of it. Go ahead.
Nor had I the least desire to taste anything. I now wish for the last friend, death,
And now
to relieve me.
He said, I want death to relieve me. It was that he said, death is easier than this, man. You know when people say like death's got to be easy because life's hard. This man said, yo, I'd rather take death right now, man. That's how bad slavery was. Think about that. Like think about that, where someone's saying, yo, I'd rather death. Say, you know, slavery was bad because black people are strong-minded and black people don't usually, death don't come in black people's mind. In order for death to come in a black person's mind, and them to say, I take death right now, it lets you know how horrible slavery was, man. It lets you know how horrible it was. And bearing in mind, he ain't even made it into full-on slavery yet. He's just on the ship. Imagine he'd rather take death and he's just got on the ship. Go ahead.
Another one, cancer. I now wish for the last friend, death, to relieve me, but soon to my grief, two of the white men offered me eatables, and on my refusing to eat, one of them held me fast by the hands and laid me across, I think with windlass, and they tied my feet, while the other flogged me severely.
See? And they tied his feet, and one of them beat him, all because he didn't want to eat. Like you hear people talking big shit, like, yo, if I was in slavery, I'd be a bad man. You wouldn't, man. I promise you wouldn't. I promise you wouldn't. They'll tie your hands and your feet, and they would flog you. Listen, if you're not in the ISUPK, you'd be a good boy. That's what you'd be. If you ain't in the ISUPK, yeah, whipping. If you ain't in the ISUPK, you'd be a good boy. Don't give me all of that tough talk, because I'd be a bad man in slave. You'd be a good boy. That's what you'd be. You'd eat all the food you get. Go ahead.
So, like you said, I just looked up windlass here, and but it's not very good. It's like them big two pieces. I just see a picture of it. I want. Do you mind if I share it with you? With this,
go ahead.
His boy. How do you do it now? Is it
You should go to present and share screen.
Okay, let me just get it up first. I got it up on my phone. I was like, oh damn. So they tied him to the windlass on the ship. Let me show you a picture.
Which was it? Cat o' nines, which is 9 pieces of cord. They'll whip you with 9 pieces of cord, man. They'll rip you back open, and then you might have to. They'll be like, eat the food, and if you don't eat the food, they'll knock your teeth out and put the thing down your throat where they feed you the slough. Was he able to show it? I can't see it.
Yeah, Carl. I'm now about to get it up for you, sir. Let me just jump on it now. Present. Right.
It's lucky. Go ahead, Benjamin, until Hakan pulls it up. It's posted.
So, lucky, sir. Were you finished with the last slide?
Are we finished with the last slide? Are we finished with it? No, I don't think we finished with it.
How do I get this up now?
So, lucky, sir, is it possible to go back to the last slide?
Should I say that again?
The last slide, Salakia, sir.
Hold on 1 second.
That's a ship windlass there, sir. Tied him to that, and beat him.
Tied him to it and flogged him. And you have to remember that this is an 11-year-old child. He was a child at the time. They beat him and forced him to eat stuff that he don't want to eat. And because he won't eat it, they beat him. And the Bible talks about the oppressor having a fierce countenance and him not regarding the old nor the young. It says he don't regard the old nor the young. So that's the oppressor for you. So go ahead.
Salakia, sir. I think we're finishing off on the slide before this one.
Oh, we skipped that one. Oh, Salakia. It keeps skipping. Was we on this one?
Yeah. I had never experienced anything of this kind before, And although not being used to the water, I naturally feared that element the first time I saw it. Yet, nevertheless, could I have got over the nettings, I would have jumped over the side, but I could not.
Listen,
And
he's saying he
besides,
would suicide, man. He's saying he would have killed himself. Go ahead.
the crew used to watch us very closely, who were not chained down to the
So now,
decks.
sometimes he used to let the kids run free on the deck, and he was a child. So some obviously they know that they could overpower him if he acts up. So they would let the kids run free on the deck. Sometimes the kids would free some of the slaves and give them spanners and weapons, and they would fight the oppressor on the ship, and so forth. Go ahead.
Lest
Damn.
we should leap into the water.
Yeah. So lucky, how can you get me this one?
Cut on concert, boys. Approaching nearer, at last she came to anchor in my sight. And when the anchor was let go, I and my countrymen who saw it were lost in astonishment to observe the vessel stop, and were not convinced it was done by magic. Soon after this, the other ship got her boats out, and they came on board of us, and the people of both ships seemed very glad to see each other.
So now I don't know if you watched them slave movies when the oppressors meet up at the docks and they're happy and they got their pirate hats and then they're all excited. That's what he's saying, that they're happy to see each other. Go ahead.
Several of the strangers also shook hand with us black people and made motions with their hands, signifying, I suppose, we were to go to their country.
So understand this, at this time he didn't know English, so he's just going by the motions and seeing how they're signaling. Go ahead.
But we did not understand them.
See, he didn't understand them because they spoke a different language. Go ahead.
At last, when the ship we were in had got in all her cargo, they made ready with many fearful noses, and we were all put on the deck so that we could not see how they managed the vessel.
Go ahead.
But this disappointment was the least of my sorrow. The stench of the hold while we were on the coast was so intolerably loathsome, that it was dangerous to remain there for any time.
Even listen, the stench was so bad that it was dangerous to remain there for any time, man. Like Kanye Israel said, a lot of our people died on them ships, all because of how unhealthy the bacteria plagued our people and killed them. And that's it. Listen, man, the stench was almost killing them. There was under the deck. Even he said you couldn't stay there for a long time because it was harmful. Go ahead.
And some of us had been permitted to stay on the deck for the fresh air. But now that the whole ship's cargo were confined together, it became absolutely pestilential.
And now the ship became pestilential, and the Lord spoke about is going to send pestilence and so forth, man. All the words this brother is using, you can find it in the Bible. Right. That slave ship became pestilential. Imagine you're going to have rats and everything all on that ship, man. Imagine you chained up on the rats biting you and you can't move. Imagine that. Imagine the spiders and all of these insects, maggots and everything, all biting you, and someone's dead right beside you, and you see maggots and flies and everything, and you can't move. Go ahead.
That's crazy. Come on. The closeness of the place and the heat of the climate added to the number of.
Imagine that, the closeness of the place, everyone's shackled up close together, and the heat of the place, they're coming from a hot country. Imagine that heat, the smell of sweat, everything, man. Just think the smell of everybody's bodily fluids and vomit and sick, and it's all in one. Imagine you got BO, sick, the whole lot. Dealing with BO is bad enough. The smell of BO is bad enough. Imagine now you got to deal with BO, bad breath, vomit, sweat, menstrual blood, urine, feces. Imagine all of that smell combined in one. That's how horrible it is. Go ahead.
Karan Khan, the closeness of the place and the heat of the climate added to the number in the ship. which was so crowded that each had scarcely room to turn himself.
See, and those packed so tight that they couldn't turn themselves. Listen, if you were claustrophobic, there's nothing you could do about that, man. Listen, some of you be saying you're claustrophobic and complaining, saying, yo, I'm claustrophobic, I need my space. Imagine this, there's no space, man. Imagine this, there's no space, man. This is why it's very important that we have brotherhood towards one another, man. Listen, man. This is why we shackle up at the Passover, man. This is why we have like 5-6 brothers to a room Passover. It could be worse. You could be shackled up under a slave ship, man. You could be shackled up under a slave ship where you can't breathe. Go ahead.
If I may, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
All of this here passed down from our generation, all the sufferation that they've had on these ships, right, would have caused us mental health issues passed down, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's called a transgenerational trauma.
Transgenerational trauma, and it would have come.
I wouldn't say mental health, but trauma. So well, it's trauma's passed down. So trauma usually starts from your parents, and then theirs would have started from their parents and their parents and their parents, and then it would have came all the way down. So now the children of these slaves, obviously they would have seen their parents depressed and upset every day. Then they would be depressed and upset. Then it will come down to their children, come down again, and then it comes all the way down to us. Until us in the ISUPK break that cycle. I'm like, listen, I ain't passing no trauma down to my kids. Because what our people like to do, say, oh, yo, I was raised this way. So we use being raised this way for us to have bad behavior. So we use, I was raised this way. We use that as a tool to, like that excuses us to be rude to everybody. That excuses us to not get a job. That excuses us to do nothing with our life. You know, I'm from the ghetto, man. I ain't working. That's all that trauma that comes down. You've taught that from somebody else. So now in here, what we do once we come in here, the trauma that we have, it stops with us because we don't pass this trauma down to our children. Our children do what? Our children see a mother and a father. Our children see laws that they're supposed to live by. Our children see a structure. Our children don't see a man punching his woman in the face. They don't see the things that our eyes had to see. Our eyes had to see our mom get kapel every. You see on Street Fighter where they have the stars on their head. We seen that growing up. We seen our mom and dad arguing, and you see your mom with the stars around their head. Our children don't see that. They don't see what we see. Why? Because we break that. We draw a line in the sand and say what I see, I don't want my children to see. So our children first start. They don't have that trauma that we have. Yes, Lucky, go ahead.
Can't sir, the water for that. Yes. Almost suffocated us. So, which was so crowded that each had scarcely room to turn himself.
And almost scarcely had room to turn themselves, man. Imagine that. Listen, imagine being just imagine being in the boot of a car. That's the best way I can explain it. Imagine being in the boot of a car. You're claustrophobic. You can't breathe because there's so much. Sometimes being confined to a small place. Have you noticed sometimes when you confined to a small place and you feel like you can't breathe? Yeah. Have you ever been in the back of a car and you feel like you can't breathe? Yeah. Once you start to feel like you can't breathe, you actually can't breathe. Like if you've ever been in a car with three people in the back of a car, you start to feel like you can't breathe. In the car, you got windows. Imagine here that they had no windows and they couldn't move. They take that into consideration. It's Lucky, go ahead.
Caravan Council. This produced copious. Oh, Salaki, something just come up on the computer. Salaki, is it? This produced copious perspirations.
Perspiration is a fancy word for sweat. Yeah. Perspiration is a fancy word for sweating. So yeah, it's just a nice. Sorry, say that again.
And copious means abundant. A lot of sweat. So imagine that's the BO that we're talking about. Everyone's just sweating on that shit. Go ahead. So that the air soon became unfit for respiration, breathing.
Man, the air became unfit. Like you couldn't even breathe. Imagine every time you breathe, you're breathing in all of that, man. And imagine this, you're on this shit for months. So every time you breathe, all of that stench you're breathing in so much that you didn't even want to breathe. Go ahead.
sir. From the variety of loathsome smells, and brought on a sickness among the slaves.
All of that brought on a sickness among the slaves, man. All these brothers was on that ship sick. These brothers, sisters was on that ship sick. Imagine this. We have black men versus black women. And guess what? Black men and black women was on the slave ship together, man. They was on the slave ship together. A black woman was no better off than a black man, and a black man was no better off than a black woman. What we did have in common is we was both shackled down together. So how about we love one another and treat each other better, man? And stop letting the oppressor make us fight each other over nothing. Imagine there's all these posts like, black men would do this, black women do this. Listen, we need to not let the oppressor tell us what we will do. Understand this, behind all these Instagram accounts where they're putting black men against black women, don't fall into it. It's some black man that's learned to think like a white man, or it could be some black man that's learned to think like a white woman. Don't let that separate us, man. Imagine we letting that separate us when we was on the slave ship shackled up together. I was on that slave ship smelling your perspiration and you were smelling mine, man. Listen, let's not let them separate us, man. We smell all of each other's nonsense on the slave ship, man. It's only right now we stay together now, man. We went through that together. Why don't we go through this together?
That's right.
Go ahead.
That's right, so from a variety of loathsome smells, it brought on a sickness among the slaves, which many died.
And many died. And listen, understand this, from slavery, so much people died. And because we was like cattle, a lot of it is not documented. So sometimes to them, you're just a nigger. So if you die, it's not recorded. Sometimes if you die, it's not recorded. It's just like, yeah, one of them niggas died, they throw you overboard. Nobody knows about you. Your family your family members that didn't get captured at this time, they're wondering, yo, where is he? How's he doing? They don't know that you're dead at the bottom of the sea. You're thinking about your children. How's my children? Your children don't know that their father's dead at the bottom of the sea. You don't know that your children's dead at the bottom of the sea. You've never seen them again. They've never seen you again. Of course, we're going to have trauma once that's where we're coming from. And if you can't see that the oppressor's the devil for all of this,
That's right.
then I don't know what to say.
That's
if you
right.
can't see that he's the devil and he deserves everything that he gets,
Right.
I don't know what to say. Imagine these people had to be on that ship smelling all of that, and the oppressor's on top of the deck drinking rum. Is drinking rum and toasting and talking about how much money he's going to make off you. The oppressor is the devil, the Bible
That's
speaks
right.
of, man. Listen,
That's
if
right.
This class don't make you realize that he's the devil. You might not be an Israelite, so lucky. You might not be one. You might not be tied into the people that went through this.
True.
You might be the oppressor. That's what you might be. You might be a Bob Marley. That's what you might be. So lucky. Go ahead.
Can't sir. If I may, sir.
Go ahead.
Captain Crafty said something years ago, I think years ago. He said, imagine, right? People that murdered your forefathers and your foremothers move into your house. Yeah. And then in the end, it came to the point where he said, you're marrying your daughters, and would you allow your daughters then to marry the people that murdered and raped your people, kick them out of the house, and would you allow your daughters to be with them and marry them? If can you remember that Cap? Because I can't remember exactly how it went, but it was similar to that.
Yeah, pretty spot on, man. Yeah, I remember that still.
Yeah.
And the reason our people marry them is because they've been told that was those white people. So they try and make a separation, whereas you shouldn't make a separation. They don't make a separation with us. If a black man robs someone down the road and I walk on that same road, listen, Liam Neeson didn't make a separation. He goes, I was going to go cuss a black man in his head. He was going to go beat up a black man because someone got mugged. They don't make a separation. So why do we make a separation? We shouldn't make a separation. We should look at them how this brother looked at them and say, yo, the savage, brutal. We should read these books and say, yeah, I need to stay away from them because, listen, this is what I'm going to start saying to them. I don't trust white people because what they've done to one of my brothers in the 1700s.
That's right.
Sounds crazy. Sounds crazy, but maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
No, I'm with you, Captain. I'm with you. I'm with you, Damgaba. I'm with you.
It sounds illogical, but to me, it's logical. I'm still mad about what you done to a black man in the 1700s. I'm saying that's in the past. Listen, man, I live in the past. Listen, with me, the past still lives here. Don't tell me that it's in the past. How can you be so sensitive to what black people's gone through in the past? That's insensitive, that is, man. Now, when they come to work saying, "Oh, I need time off because my grandma's died," that's in the past. Come to work, devil. That's what I'd say.
That's right.
That's right. Oh, your grandma died. Yeah, that's in the past. Come to work.
Yeah, right.
I say, "Oh, your grandma died. Oh, that's nice. Come to work."
Yeah.
I say, "Listen, my grandma died. My grandma died, and you didn't care, man." I start saying, "Yo, I start saying, yo, some slaves was thrown overboard in this." Listen, I should form a slave tomorrow and say, "Yo, I can't come to work because one of my brothers got killed in the 1700s."
Yeah. You know what I mean?
She said, "One of my brothers got killed in the 1700s. I need time to grieve." I said, "My other brother got killed in the 1800s. I need time to grieve." Listen, I'll never go back to work because that was black people's been killed. I'll be grieving till Christ returns, man. I'm a grieve till Christ returns.
That's right. Cuddle and cancer. Thus falling victims to the improvident avarice.
So listen, man. This brother's talking about on the ship, the disgusting conditions, how they could barely breathe, how it's smart, horrible on there, how they would rather choose death. Imagine that. They put black people in a position where dying's easier than being alive. Imagine that. You'd rather die than be alive. I say, imagine life's that bad that you're saying, "Boy, I'd rather die than live like this, you know. I'd rather die than be alive." That's what lets you know. That's how you know slavery was so horrible.
That's right.
And imagine this. The devil didn't have to be so brutal. This is what, let me get one precept before we go.
Come on.
Let me get the book of Esther, chapter 7 and verse 4. Like, slavery was brutal, and it didn't have to be. Like, now, if a man's got a slave, this is what you can do. You can just make him do the jobs that he needs to do. Why do you have to beat him and rape him and lynch him and knock his teeth out? Like, why do you have to be so brutal? Listen, there's a difference between us going into slavery and then this man brutalizing us. Slavery and brutalizing is two different things, man. This man went above and beyond. Let me get Esther 7 and 4.
Book of Esther, chapter 7 and verse 4. For we are sold, I and my people.
Esther said, "We are sold, I and my people." Go ahead.
To be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue.
See, and Esther said, "Yo, if we was just gonna be slaves, I would hold my tongue. I wouldn't say nothing." But she said, "Yo, we've been sold to be destroyed and slain." And that's what they did to us, man. Listen, devil. If you was just gonna make us pick cotton with no beatings, we would hold our tongue, man. We'd hold our tongue and not say nothing. But then you started to kill us, man. You started to kill us and beat us, man. So much that what? Now the beatings that you gave us. Now. What's that word they use for medicines when it don't work, when the bacteria? What's the word they use now? Where the medicines don't work for the bacteria no more. They become immune. Listen, we're immune to your beatings now, man. We're immune to. Listen, you beat us so much. We're immune to your beatings now. You devils crack that whip now. Listen. Guess what? We're just gonna turn around. It's like when your mom, when your mom tries to beat you at 12 and it don't affect you no more.
Yeah.
Listen, you're oppressors. You've done so much to us, man. It ain't gonna affect us no more. This is what we are gonna do. We're gonna serve the Lord, and the time's coming when you're gonna be chains, man. We're gonna show you how you're supposed to treat slaves.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
We're gonna say to you, listen, man. You see, this is what we're gonna say to you. We're gonna say, "Yo, basement, look how you treated us, and look how you're treated here." We're gonna say, "Look at this. We're gonna show you how to rule slaves righteously." That's what we're gonna show you, man. We're gonna show you how to. We're not gonna kill you for no reason like what you did with us. We ain't gonna do those things to you. But you are gonna pick cotton. You are gonna make coffee. You are gonna go cut sugarcane. I want sugarcane, man. You are gonna go cut sugarcane. You are gonna go fire up the jerk pan. I'm gonna give you 2 pieces of wood. You're gonna rub them together until it lights a fire. You're not getting the liquid. I'm not giving you the liquid. I'm gonna stand there with I'm gonna stand there with the liquid. You're gonna say, "Sir, Lord, I could use some of that liquid to light the fire." I'm gonna say, "Keep talking. This liquid's going on you. Why?" Well, listen. I'm gonna say, "Keep talking. This liquid's going on you." Listen, man. The way you treated us, we're gonna show you how slaves are supposed to be treated righteously. You're gonna work. And listen, if you don't like it, you made us do it, man. The Bible says, "Reward unto her double." That's what that says in the Bible, man. The Bible says, "Reward unto her double." The Lord said He's gonna pour out His fury on them. Whatever you've done to us, just understand this. The Lord has something in store for you, man. It says revenge is best served cold, man. And your revenge is going to be served to you once Jesus Christ returns. We ain't going to take revenge. Our revenge is going to come from the Lord. The Lord is going to tell us what to do. The Lord's going to tell us what we can and can't do. And we're going to follow those guidelines. Anyway, with that, clap it up. That brings us to the end of the Go ahead, Luke, and you can call it.
I can't. I don't have the announcements. Do you have the announcements? Benjamin,
No sweat. We can just do the salute.
Okay,
also, tomorrow we'll be here 7 p.m. Scripture breakdown class.
Okay.
We'll be here on the ends Friday. Also, we didn't even get to finish off. We'll finish up. If we don't switch gears, we'll do the rest. We'll do part 3 on next week Wednesday. And also we got Purim coming up in March, a couple of weeks. Is it March? I believe March 13th and 14th. Yeah, March 13th and 14th for 2-day feast. We're going to go into that. Coming down to that also, 394 Lodge Road, B18 5PW. Lucky, go ahead, Hakan, you can call it.
Men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim, Barak, Yahweh Bashim al-Shah,
How about Shem Shabbat Kafam?
Yajimata, class dismissed.
For what again, Hakan and Benjamin, Lord Allah, see you next week. All right, then, Shalom, Israel.
Shalom, sir.